YouTube. Hey, happy Sunday. Oliva, Connecticut Reserve in Robusto. Very, very good. Very woodsy coffee, creamed coffee. Super smooth, super creamy. So, thought I'd introduce what I was doing and come back and see you in a bit. Sunday Fun Day. Is Sunday truly a fun day? Um, was doing some research, so this is going to be a kind of a psychological post, which fascinates me. Um, Sunday sadness. Have you heard of this? Is it real? And how do you battle it? So, CNN. All right, all right, all right, all right. CNN, I know, fake news. Blah, blah, blah. And I agree for the most part, fake news. But this is a study, this has nothing to do with politics. Said 81% of 1,000 respondents they became progressively more anxious as their restful Sunday came to a close. And psychologists actually call that anticipatory anxiety. Do you have anticipatory anxiety? You ever heard of this? One of the first things they say not to do with anticipatory anxiety is drink booze. That must have been for other people, not for me. Anyhow, how do you battle your Sunday? Do you get Sunday blues? It's an interesting concept and it's an interesting phenomenon. 81% out of 1,000 respondents, that's pretty heavily weighted. Um, I don't know what their control group was and their mode, mean, median, all you statisticians out there that get into that and all that jazz. But that's a lot of people. A lot of people deal with it. Um, Fretting over something can trigger our fight or flight reflex, which floods our body with adrenaline. Pulse rate, blood pressure, breathing becomes rapid. Extra oxygen increases alertness, blood sugars, blah, 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 blah. The brain continues to think danger is there. Is going to work on Monday dangerous? I don't know if going to work on Monday is dangerous, but it's not optimal. Well, preferred. How about that? It's not preferred. Optimal, necessary, sure. Preferred, no. So, how do you battle it? Exercise, one way they say. Get out and do something. Get out and get in nature. This is about as nature as I get at times. Nah, that's a lie, but fresh air does help, without a question. Exercise. Exercise helps. Owning a dog. Owning a dog, believe it or not, owning a dog can lower your risk of dying early by 24% and lower your stress. I own two, so does that mean my risk is 84%, 48%? Well, I can do math. So, anyhow, Sunday blues. Somebody's having a bad day, as you can hear behind me. Sirens are going. Um, yeah, I would tell you, I don't get Sunday blues. I get Sunday jitters, anxiety. Got to get out of the house. Got to go do something. Don't want to sit. Don't want to, don't want to think about the week ahead. Just want to go and enjoy the last few hours of the weekend. Um, but it impacts a lot of people, just like seasonal blues when time changes impacts a lot of people. Very interesting topic. So, would love to hear everybody's thoughts on it. Do you get impacted by Sunday? Do you hate Sunday? I don't hate Sunday. Sunday's a great day. It's a day of rest. But it can be a little stressful. It can be because you start thinking about your brain switches over to work mode about 4 o'clock, about this time on Sunday. Switches over to work mode. What do I got to do tomorrow? What's upcoming? What are we seeing? What's going to happen? all that good jazz. And it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails, and you kind of start thinking, you're not relaxing, you're thinking. So how do you stop it? So again, exercise, being outside, don't drink. How do you cope with it? Would love to hear if you deal with it. How do you cope with it? Now, sometimes I envy the retirees because, you know, you wake up and maybe you've had the same pair of underwear on for 3 or 4 days. Your hair's all jacked up. You haven't shaved for a month. You really don't even know where you are. And you sure as hell don't know what day it is. So that actually sounds all right to me. But I would go stir crazy. I tell Mrs. Buck I've already scheduled a half day. I have to work a half day on the day of my funeral, just because I need to be doing something and need to continue to earn money. But how's Corona doing, you guys? Is that adding to your Sunday virus? Or Sunday virus, Sunday stress, not your virus. Hopefully you don't have the virus. It is pretty serious. Pollen, still out here. Don't want to hear nothing. Anyhow, was out today, out and about, had to go for some supplies. So I'm all masked up, feeling good. I go into the grocery store and holy cow. Last week when I had to go out and get some stuff, everybody was wearing a mask and taking it seriously. Today, like me and one other lady were wearing a mask. People were like hanging on each other, huddled up in big groups, just not even paying attention to what the hell's going on in the world. Um, Irresponsible, man. Irresponsible. Was reading in the Wall Street Journal what was pretty fascinating, that the difference between people that want to open up the government, that are scared that it'll open up too soon. I think it was 77% of the Democrats are scared that it'll be opened up too soon, while only 38% of the Republicans are scared it would be opened up too soon. While conversely, if you flip that, um, very few Democrats were concerned about waiting too long to open up, and Republicans were scared to death in high majorities. And I don't have the article now. Let me see if I can find it real quick, because it was a pretty fascinating read, in terms of, are we going to open up too soon? Are we not going to open up too soon? Um, and I can't find it now. Sure enough, anytime I want to find something, I can't find it. But anyhow, it's on the Wall Street Journal. If you could find it if you're out there looking for it, because everything they're talking about now is coronavirus. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Um, 77% of the Democrats expressing concerns about opening too quickly, 39% of the Republicans. By contrast, 48% of Republicans are worried the U.S. will take too long, with only 19% of the Democrats thinking it will take too long. President Trump has expressed an eagerness to lift restrictions as soon as possible, though he has also laid out a public health guideline for governors to follow as they decide to lift constraints. So that was something I talked about earlier this week, and I thought was a fantastic move, that he's not going to open the country. He's going to let the states do it state by state, and I think that's smart, because he's leveraging his team. You know, I actually used that for a leadership review in my MBA class this week. Is that he's laid out the vision and the plan, and it's a 3-tier plan to open up the country, and he's not going to be the sole person making the decision. So by bringing in the state governors, you're bringing in a lot more expertise, got a lot more skin in the game. They understand what's going on in their states. They understand how this thing's progressing, what it's doing to their economies, how many cases they have, etc., etc. And not all states are created equal. What you can't stop, that I find interesting, what you can't stop state-to-state travel. So let's say North Carolina, talking to family in Michigan, they're in a ton worse shape than we are in North Carolina. North Carolina just went over 6,000 cases just yesterday, and the deaths were like 138, which is a drop in the bucket compared to other states. Um, so North Carolina might be a state that's pretty good to go to open up. But if you open up North Carolina, what does that bring in? Who does that bring in? Do people start flocking down from New York, which is a state that's extremely high cases of coronavirus? And what will that do to North Carolina? Will that spike it? My biggest fear in all this is, and I've said this before, it's, to me, like when we were all young adults, and we all did this. Don't you lie for a second if you say you didn't. Had an infection or you were sick as a young adult. Doctor said, here's your antibiotics. Take these. Take the whole bottle. After 2 or 3 days, we started feeling really good. And none of us listened to our doctor because we were young and we knew it all. And we quit taking them. And what happened 2 or 3 days later? We were sick again. Sometimes even worse than we started. That's my analogy for this. Open it up just a minute too soon, and as bad as the economy is, and as tough as the layoffs, the furloughs, the unemployment, all that is, it could double, triple, it could explode, and here we are back to square one. Oh yeah, and you don't get to press the reset as the neighbors are shooting guns. There goes Annie. I do like living out here because we do our fair share of shooting, but Annie doesn't care for it. She gone. But again, you open it up a little bit too soon, and you don't get a reset button. You can't undo the last 6 weeks and all the unemployment. You're just going to add to that number, and you're going to continue to cut, and sales are going to continue to drop. Retailers are going to start feeling it. They're already feeling it. In my line of work, we're feeling it. Feeling it. And even though we're essential and do food, feeling it. Hear me? Feeling it. People aren't shopping, and they're not traveling, and they're not out and about. And a lot of my customers are C-stores, convenience stores, things of that nature. Nobody's traveling. Nobody's going to take a vacation. Nobody's on the road. Nobody's going to take a vacation this year. So I don't think it's a 6-8 week we're good to go thing. I think this thing's a 1-2 year thing to rebuild. People are so far behind already on mortgages, car notes, bills. It's going to take forever for them to get caught up. So it's discretionary spending is going to go into the tank, and the economy is going to really feel it. So what do? I do not envy the government. I do not envy President Trump. Do not envy the state governors. Open it up, get everybody back to work and rolling. Open it up too soon. Devastation. So anyhow, there's my Sunday rant. Enjoying the day, finishing this Oliva, Connecticut Reserve. It's very mild smoke. So if you like a good, this is probably a better morning cup of coffee kind of stick, but I'm not really wanting to get into anything too heavy. I've smoked a couple more cigars than I probably should have this weekend, but we had a hell of a good time. We burnt the fire pit all night last night. Got a lot of the wood in our yard that was dead out of some branches that fell. We burnt up not all of it, but burned up a lot of it, and just sat outside all day and had a day. But today, Sunday, so put everything back away until Friday. Anyhow, folks, I ranted and rambled a lot. Hopefully you enjoyed the little breaks in there. I thought I'd do something different by putting little breaks in the video. Maybe it came out stupid. We'll see when we watch it. But be safe. Take care of each other. Pay it forward. Don't panic, but don't be irresponsible either. We'll get out of this thing if people just freaking listen. But people don't want to listen. I've seen it today. People don't want to listen. They want to pile into the grocery store and hang all over each other. Groups of 5 and 6 and 7 people. It just blew my mind. Somebody's having fun. Anyhow, we'll catch you later. Have a good day, everybody.